Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad. I'm your host, DZ. We come to you every day, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you your favorite topics with your favorite guests. Today's no exception. We have a fantastic episode. We got some great guests. We're going to get right into it. He's looking a little tanner than usual. We have Gareth from In the Money Stocks. What's up, my friend? Were you on vacation recently?
Hey, I just moved to Florida 2 weeks ago, so hitting the pool almost every day.
We could tell, man. We could tell you're glowing. Speaking of glowing, we have my favorite twin. We have Aaron from Altcoin Daily. Except for Gareth, you can't really trust a man without a beard. So that's why we like Aaron a little bit more here. And also we have WendyO. She just put out a fantastic Ethereum video this morning. Make sure you check out her YouTube channel. You're going to want to catch that. And he's missing Dragon Con this year, although he said he loves to go. He wanted to be there for the BitSquad. It is Ben Armstrong. And we got some great topics. But before we get into that, let's check out the market. It's been pretty volatile, more so than usual. Will you check out this Ethereum 24-hour gain here? We're up double digits, 10% on Ethereum, 37.30. You smell that, folks? It smells like $4,000 right around the corner. We have Bitcoin also going up a little bit, Cardano, Binance. It's a good day. If we want to check out some of the extreme winners here, FTX token, Sam Bankman-Fried. Maybe he can afford that haircut now. Who knows? Phantoms pumping, Ravane, Sushi Swap. A lot of these DeFi plays. We're going to get into that later. If we check out the losers, Arweave, Horizon, Kusama, surprisingly down there. I'm surprised at that with all the Polkadot parachain news and AMP. So it's been looking pretty volatile. Gareth, you got a million screens behind you. What is it saying?
Yeah.
Ethereum and Bitcoin. What's going on? Or how long can this pump keep going?
I think Ethereum is going to be right neck and neck with Bitcoin market cap wise. So I think if I had to choose one right now, you got to go with Ethereum for further upside here. And yeah, man, I think it's the future.
All right, I like it. Well, let's get right into the DeFi Summer Party. Those who don't know, it's decentralized finance Summer Party 2.0. We had a big run up in 2020. Looks like maybe the tail end of this summer could be repeating. So we're seeing a steady surge in user activity. We're seeing a steady surge in the prices right now. There's a lot of tokens look like they're maybe poised for a breakout. If we look at some of the large caps, we got Aave, Synthetics, YFI, Sushi Swap. They've all rallied at least 40% since May 10th. Meanwhile, the price of Bitcoin is down 20%. So huge gains on the Bitcoin pair there. So a lot of exciting things. Wendy, were you doing any DeFi plays last summer? How did that go?
I actually did most of my DeFi plays like in 2020, the end of 2020. And what my strategy was buy something, number went up. I would take profit, remove my initial investment, and then create a moon bag and just let it ride and stake it or whatever the heck.
All right. What about any of those coins from last summer? Are you holding on to any of them still?
There's a couple good ones that I have. I'm not going to disclose which ones I have because I don't want people to go ahead and ape into those. So
okay. So trying to protect the community. Just trying to protect the community. Can't fault you for that one. Ben, I know you've had a couple insane DeFi stories there. We've gone over that, but what about some of these large DeFi plays? Are there any of the larger ones that you say maybe be a little more safe than the others?
Well, I think Aave and Compounder can't miss. I mean, I think those projects really cannot miss. I mean, they will pump, they will do very well. The platforms have a lot of usage. You get into like the next tier under that, you're looking at Sushi, you're in finance, then you got another tier under that. I would put maybe Synthetics. Just Synthetics, the whole synthetic protocol or the whole synthetic asset market is, to me, and you guys will see more about this on, I think Saturday we're putting out, I did an interview with Jamie Rogozinski. He's the founder of Wall Street Bets, who we worked with Satoshi Street Bets, of course, to help uncover that exploitable bug in the SafeMoon contract. But Jamie is a guy who comes from Wall Street and, is a big stock investor. And he talks a lot about, DeFi and how he thinks that, it's definitely the future, how much it makes sense to combine, Wall Street and traditional finance along with crypto. And, there's a lot of very interesting stuff that he said in that interview. So I implore everybody to check that out this weekend. You guys will probably learn about from there. But he has a DeFi project. And his DeFi project is also tokenized stocks, right? And we've discussed this before. That's kind of what Synthetics is trying to do. there are ways to make it regulatory compliant. And then there are ways to kind of do it underhanded. And, it's just a very interesting space. So that's why I put synthetics a little bit below that. Of course, you have Maker. A lot of people like Maker as well. We'll put it on the top tier. I'm not a huge fan of Maker. I would definitely put Compound and Aave above everything else.
All right, yeah, make sure you check that out. Interview with Rogosinski. It's also coincidentally what Nina brought for the office to snack on last week, so it was pretty tasty. Now, he's saying, tokenized stocks. Gareth, do you think that regulatory bodies will ever accept tokenized stocks, or will they just always be fighting against it?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think if it becomes mainstream enough, they will, absolutely. It's all about, right, we all think about big money, and big money is what is needed for things to be accepted. Once you get big money in, then you get the politicians in their pockets and all that kind of thing. So I think it's going to come down to that, just like the regulation that's kind of being worked forward. I think the last time I was on, we were talking about the fear of regulation, and we saw it basically get stopped in its tracks because you have a lot of politicians that are kind of anti crackdown on crypto. So I think again, it's going to be all about how much big money gets behind it.
Okay, I was actually going to ask, you said the popularity. So specifically, it's not so much the retail interest that would drive the regulatory bodies to maybe give a favorable ruling. It's the insiders essentially are going to help dictate how this lands.
Yeah, I think that's generally the way it goes, is that, in general, a politician's not going to care too much about someone with $10,000, but $100 million, they're gonna make sure they do whatever is in that best interest. So I do think that it's more the big money. Now the little investor can always go along for the ride, and I think that's where the smaller investors have to kind of keep their eye on.
All right, well, let's talk about the little investor here. We're looking at some of the numbers. We have a graph here showing the number of new participants coming into the other one, the DeFi ecosystem. So it's rising nonstop over the past year. Right now in DeFi, it's the other one. Right now in DeFi, we're reaching a record 3.2 million total users as of August 31st. I mean, if you look at the chart right there, yeah, we're about to pull it up. So if you look at DeFi Summer 2020, it's barely a blip on this screen right here, but then it's just rocketing up and to the right, as Richard Hart likes to say. So we're seeing a lot of new users coming in. Altcoin Daily. Do you think that DeFi has already hit the ceiling as far as new users, or do we still have time to maybe double or triple or even quadruple the amount of users we have?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I don't think we've hit the ceiling. I mean, like you said, you look back in DeFi Summer 2020 or even the beginning of this year in 2021, and each time that looked like, possibly we're at a parabolic ceiling, but each time it's gotten a lot bigger. And I just think it speaks to the fact we're in a nascent space. Interest and money coming in is exploding. And more than that, people can actually get real value from using these protocols or even speculating on them. I mean, at what point, first of all, it's not going to be a DeFi 2.0 summer because summer is already over. And, at what point do we say that, this is less of a short-term quarter trend and maybe more of a cycle trend, or even more of, these things in general are just here to stay because people are realizing more and more, I don't want to deal with the exchanges like Robinhood who can censor my transactions. I'd rather deal with a decentralized exchange, which there's hundreds of them now. I don't want to deal with the bank to, with my money, with borrowing and lending. I'd rather go to one of these blue chip DeFi protocols or anything like that. So I think it's here to stay, and usership is going to keep increasing. Of course, the market goes in ebbs and flows in general.
What's your favorite decentralized exchange to use?
I mean, I use the most popular Uniswap all the time. I've used SushiSwap. I've used Binance, but there are hundreds now. I guess I use the most known ones.
Yeah, nice. Big fan of MetaMask and using Uniswap over here personally. So, but it's not all roses. We're talking about the regulatory bodies. Gary Gensler just was talking to Financial Times yesterday, and he was saying some things about these crypto trading platforms are risking regulatory trouble if they do not cooperate with the SEC. Wendy, how are they going to target these overseas, protocols? Are they going to target the fiat on-ramps, off-ramps and say, Coinbase, you just can't carry this token? Or, I mean, are they just not going to be able to, you think?
They can kind of dictate, to Coinbase, you need to that's why they want to do KYC. That's the only reason why is because they really want people to pay taxes on it. I personally don't think that they care too much if you're trading this type of stuff. They're really looking to find people to make money and big corporations not corporations, but these big companies to make money. And they want people to pay their taxes. So I really think that if we all banded together and hey, we're willing to pay our taxes on X, Y, and Z, they would let us do it. But it's going to be a very interesting battle, especially with all the stuff coming out with Ripple, battling the SEC. I'm 100% here for it. I love it. And then, of course, too, is actually right before we went live, we were talking about the SEC. And I had thought that the SEC was already going after BitConnect, but it looks like they released came out with a press release dated today, September 1st of 2021, that they've taken action against BitConnect, which is an online crypto lending platform. And I'm kind of reading in between the lines here, but to me, that sounds like they're coming after it's like they're calling BitConnect a DeFi platform, but I thought that they were like after them already and like finding them and whatnot.
Yeah, I know there's probably a lot of 2017 influencers shaking in their jimmies right now. So yeah, I know there's so many regulatory bodies. Perhaps it was Justice Department, and then now they're going to the SEC. So we'll have
the SEC has already had an action versus BitConnect for sure. But I think I think the former action had more to do with the marketing. I haven't seen this new one yet, but this new one may actually be more on the lending functional side of it. I'm gonna have to read it and see, but there definitely is 2 SEC cases against BitConnect.
Well, Ben,
yeah, because it says the top executives, but the way that it sounds to me is that it's like that. I feel like they want to say we're coming after DeFi after reading this. So that's just my opinion.
If you're wondering what that noise was, I ate a burrito earlier. Ben, what do you see most of these protocols doing if the SEC enacts just some crazy draconian laws that they can't really comply with? Are they going to change their rules, or are they just going to make them read between the lines?
Who are they going to go after? That's the important question. Who are they going to go after? I mean, they're going to run into the same problem that they run into with XRP, with some of these other projects. I mean, with XRP, there's a centralized company behind it for them to go after. But when you look at a lot of these DeFi protocols, there's just nobody to go after. Like, you go after the guy that made the domain. You go after the guy that built the website. You go after the guy that created the idea. Who do you go after? It's decentralized. And this is why this right here is exactly why the traditional financial system across the world is shaking in their boots at crypto. Because they know there's no way to enforce actions against something that's decentralized. I mean, it's like walking into a football stadium with 5 cops and say, hey, everybody's arrested. How's that going to work out? It's not going to happen. There's too many people and everybody's playing a role, but there's not one main guy to go after. So I don't know what other, I mean, you look at Celsius, you look at BlockFi. I mean, these are certainly, companies that are centralized companies that have decentralized aspects that they could go after. I mean, we do know they're already going after BlockFi. Celsius, I hope they don't ever go after Celsius. I think Celsius is very regulatory compliant, but who knows down the road. So I think this is the whole problem wrapped in a nice little bag with a bow on it for us here.
All right, well, maybe one day we'll get to see a lawsuit, SEC versus Rare Pepe the Frog profile pic. Yeah. So that'll be something I'm definitely interested in checking out. So let's talk about Lightning Network here. We just hit a giant milestone with Bitcoin's namesake, Lightning Network protocol here. 100 million is now locked up. We're looking at actually 114 million total, 2,370 Bitcoin. It's the most that it's ever had. It launched in 2018. So we're seeing a huge increase. They just had 1,000 Bitcoin at the beginning of the year, so they've more than doubled. Gareth, is 100 million on the Lightning Network really anything to get excited about here?
I think it's the speed at which it happens that's impressive. That's the key. Is if it takes a long period of time, I don't know how impressive it is. 100 million, but I think it's the speed. I am not an expert in a lot of this stuff like you guys are. I'm more of a technical chart guy, but I'll let some of you guys talk on that. Maybe Wendy, you look like you got something to say there.
Wendy, jump in.
I've got a lot of stuff to say. So as far as the Lightning Network goes, I think that it's really great that we're seeing such awesome adoption with it. But at the same time, we have to remember the Lightning Network is not as secure as the actual Bitcoin network because it's like a layer on top of the Bitcoin network. So even though it's faster and even though it's pushing transactions out faster, it's not that I'm nervous to use it, but I just feel like more people should understand that there is a little bit of a vulnerability attached to that is all. But it is a good thing that the Lightning Network is being utilized because it is showing that more and more people are excited about Bitcoin and that are using it. However, then that brings the question too, is Bitcoin to be used as a P2P currency, or is it to be used as a store of value, or both? Because there's a lot of different arguments that got brought up between the maximalist community, and I think Aaron has got something to say.
Aaron, jump in here.
Oh, no, I was just loving what Wendy was saying. For me personally, I think it's pretty cool that the Lightning Network has reached this milestone. I've always just been generally excited on what's going on with, layer 2 Bitcoin and the Lightning Network. But, I've always said this, and especially this cycle, to me, like the Lightning Network has nothing to do with like my bull thesis for Bitcoin, and that, Bitcoin could reach a market cap, I think, of gold, $9 trillion, $10 trillion to put one Bitcoin at a price of $500,000 per Bitcoin without anybody using it as peer-to-peer payments, because it's, so good at a censorship resistant store of value. And to go even further, I don't think any, last cycle and all cycles before, the peer-to-peer currency use case of all cryptocurrency was a big thing. Everybody was trying to say ours is the best for this. But the market really didn't want that, because everybody, especially as, every cycle, people are realizing that these cryptocurrencies are going to appreciate greatly. So you don't want to spend them at any time soon. I think, maybe a decade from now, when Bitcoin's more distributed and less volatile and more, like that, it's, maybe it'll be good. The Lightning Network or whatever solution will be there for people to be able to spend their Bitcoin. And this is a good thing in general, but, it's not part of, my bull thesis. That's how I think about it.
So you don't think they're just like adding Band-Aids to an older tech here? This isn't the equivalent of the science teacher bringing in the laser disc to show the movie?
Oh, I see. Because like Bitcoin's the boomer coin. No, I mean, I don't think that necessarily. And I don't claim to, know if the Lightning Network is going to be viable long term or any like layer 2 for cryptocurrency. But I think generally it's a good thing. And that, Bitcoin could be used, on the second layer for peer-to-peer payments. I mean, I've used Bitcoin's Lightning Network before. I like it, but I don't do it very often because I'm into hodling.
All right. Well, it's actually coinciding. This Lightning Network milestone is coinciding with some big news that we just saw out of El Salvador here, where the parliament has now authorized a $150 million trust to manage the USD Bitcoin conversion. Now, Gareth, can you see El Salvador using it for payments as kind of a springboard for wider adoption, or is it just going to fizzle out in Central America?
Yeah, I actually do think eventually it will be. Now, right now, El Salvador is not a big country. It's not a major player. But I think it's the beginning of what will eventually come down. And again, you'll see other countries like Venezuela and some of these other countries that have trouble transferring payments around because of restrictions or other things. But yeah, I do think it's the beginning. You'll obviously see the fiat currency countries like the U.S. and Japan and other countries. They're going to be the holdouts. They don't want their currencies to get devalued or get supplanted. But yeah, I do think eventually, whether it's 5, 10, 20 years down the line, you will see that more and more.
All right. Yeah, I agree. And it's not only coinciding with the El Salvador news, we have a little bit of Twitter news too. Jack Dorsey, they're planning on rolling out Lightning Network tips on the platform using the Strike wallet. Now, Ben, if you get tipped on Bitcoin with Bitcoin on Twitter, would that make you a little bit more bullish for the Lightning Network and Bitcoin being adopted? Or would El Salvador really taking off, that make you more bullish? Which of the two will have more of an impact?
Just the tip, you said?
Just the tip.
Okay. Look,
This is a family show.
I'm talking about tips, 18%. Okay, Wendy, relax. Listen, I'm not bullish on either one, to be honest with you. I've been over here trying to stay awake while we've been talking about the Lightning Network. It's tough, to be honest with you.
All right, point for honesty.
The Lightning Network is kind of like decaffeinated coffee. Like, what's the flipping point? I tell you what, let's get this giant network together so we can send all of these Bitcoin peer-to-peer transactions faster than nobody wants to send. What problem are you solving here? I mean, I don't. I've always said this. I've always said the Lightning Network is boring. My only experiences with it have been terrible. It is. There is. I loved what I think what you said, DZ. Like, it's like trying to put Band-Aids on old tech. Yep. Bitcoin's not the fastest coin. It's never going to be the fastest coin. It's going to be close to the fastest coin. It's never going to be the best thing for currency. It is a great store of value, and we love it and respect it for that. And we respect what Bitcoin has done for the crypto game. If it wasn't for Bitcoin, none of us would be on this channel right now. Like, obviously, So, but it's just really boring. And then when it comes to El Salvador, this is going to be a very failed experiment. Here, I said it this morning on the live stream. You know, you got, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I said it to TJ. I can't remember who I said it to. But it's like you got all these Bitcoin maximalists that are just trying so hard to force, you know, a square peg into a round hole. Like they're just trying. You will use Bitcoin. You will love it. You will send the transactions fast. If we say Lightning Network enough, you're gonna start to love it and like it. Go down to El Salvador. The people are protesting Bitcoin. No, I don't. You're gonna love it. I promise. Control. Let me control you so you'll love it. Like that's the way they come across. It's that. Like, look, I think it's gonna be great because this is gonna get this out of the way. Let me tell you what. The powers that be, the financial cartel, they are 0% concerned about what's going on in El Salvador. That should tell you everything you need to know.
All right, Ben's getting worked up. We got to see the rare appearance of the vein on the forehead on around the blockchain. Wendy, did you want to add anything on that?
Wendy looks scared. Wendy looks scared right there. Are you terrified, Wendy?
She's ready for the smoke.
Are you gonna? Okay. Before you fight me, though, you're gonna have to fight Jake Paul.
I would love to. I would be honored to. I would love to toss paws with that dude. Anyways, so there was an interesting post on crypto Twitter today, and it was a Bitcoin. I'm not going to say who it was. It was a Bitcoin maximalist that were saying, "Oh, there's about 1,000 El Salvadorians that are protesting Bitcoin being used as legal tender, like it wasn't a big deal." And I chimed in and I said, "Well, I don't think it's necessarily that they're mad about Bitcoin. I think that a lot of people don't understand or are not going to know how to use it or access it. And I feel like there's not only not enough education, but I feel like they need to have a choice whether if they want to use Bitcoin or fiat or whatever it is." And then people are like, "Oh, yeah, they need more education." There's always going to be more and more education that needs to be provided for Bitcoin. And then this person went on to then say, "Oh, there's only about 250 people protesting." And to kind of like discount other people's feelings when you're not a resident of El Salvador, you don't live there, you don't really know about the culture. Mm-hmm. Like who the heck are you? I just know in my neighborhood or when I was growing up, if you were to come into one of the houses I was hanging out at and try to dictate the way people were doing things or living their lives, there was going to be some issues and some problems. Like you don't get to come into somebody's neighborhood or their home and tell them what they get to do just because it works with your narrative. Like not only is that some ivory tower BS, but that's just some like, it's like you're better than these people and nobody's better than another person. Everybody's human, everybody's equal, and nobody gets to dictate what somebody else does or the way somebody else feels about something specific, especially if you're not from that culture. Just my opinion.
No, I totally.
It's so typical of the Bitcoin maximalists, though. Like this is their thing.
It is typical of them.
It's
rude.
Everything they set out in the beginning to be against is everything that they become, and the hypocrisy is outstanding. Great job, Max.
It's absolutely terrible, and this is how you do not get adoption, and this is how you do not improve quality of life. And there was a post from Hal Finney or from, I think it was either Hal Finney or Satoshi, one of those two amazing gentlemen. But basically they were saying they're floating the ideas of a fork of Bitcoin and altcoins. So it's in the early history of Bitcoin because Bitcoin is great. It's a great store of value that we're seeing today, especially with the lack of volatility. But at the same time, too, there's so many other options to actually send payments. Like stable coins are my absolute favorite to send payments, not only for sending payments, but I get to earn that passive income on them. That's amazing. It's outstanding. And Bitcoin can't compete with that.
And chat's loving it right now. There's a whole lot of +1 WendyO. There's a whole lot of +1 Baby Yoda. Not a lot of +1 Minnie Mouse. So probably the chat's wondering, where'd Minnie go? Minnie. All right, so let's get to the last topic here. Bitcoin, will it bounce in September? I was looking at a little chart here. It actually kind of scared me. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. It was what we brought up early in the show. It was showing the traditional months throughout the year and how they perform. And if you look right here, September, as soon as it pops up here. So basically, September's a classic underperformer. It's always underperforming. It's the only year now, albeit, started, we don't get one for 2021 yet. It's the only year with only 2 green months. Every other month had at least 3. And you'll see it's actually the worst performing month. One of the best performing months is the month after that, which is October. So maybe it's oversold in September, and then we get to see the spike in October. I was actually pretty surprised by that. We were talking about it. I know Steven in the office, he was expecting December to be the hottest one. I didn't expect October. I probably would have said November there. So September's looking a little bit sketchy. Gareth, I know we see a little bit of this in the stock markets. I know December, if I'm not mistaken, is usually when there's a big sell-off. Do you hold stock in these historical month-by-month charts, or is it all smoke and mirrors, as we say?
No, I mean, there's definitely certain months out of the year that can be weaker than others in general. But as an investor, you don't necessarily make that decision because you don't know. Again, there's a difference every single year. It can be a different situation. But now we're talking my bread and butter, which is like the technicals. And I'd love to quickly show my chart here and just go over a couple things on price projection here, if you guys don't mind. So
we love it.
Here's your Bitcoin chart, right? So you had the obviously top at 65,000. You came down, classic head and shoulders breakdown to 30,000, a lot of chop, finally a break to the upside. Currently, it looks like we're making a bullish consolidation pattern. I still have upside to about 52.5 to 55,000. And then I know last time I was on, Ben and I really got into it in disagreeing, but I still think you're heading lower after that and sharply lower to possibly 18 to 20,000 before a bottom is finally put in. And now listen, long term, I'm still bullish 100,000, 500,000. It's going to go there. But just to kind of show you guys comparisons here where I'm getting this methodology from or thought process, if you look back at 2013, you topped at 1250, bottomed out near term at 500. You then bounced back to 1100, which was really close to those highs, which looks like what we're doing right now. And then you rolled over to 100. And then if you go to the 2017 top, 20,000 high, 11,000 dip, basically the 30,000 dip we've seen recently, a bounce back to 17,000, and then obviously bottoming out 5,000 or sub 5,000, in that latest cycle. So for me, at least, it's kind of where I'm at, where I'm thinking that, yeah, you have a little bit more upside here, but ultimately I do think you'll end up going lower in the, the next 6 months or so.
Okay. Keep it on you real quick. Are we going to do 52 or 42 first, do you think?
Wow. I think 52 first, then 42.
All right. Let's bring it around. Altcoin, what would you say, 52 or 42? I know you don't really trade too much. You just like to accumulate, but if you had a guess, what would you say?
52 or 42? I mean, like that's kind of like the range, right? Like I'm truly not sure. I could easily see it going back to 42. I don't trade, but I do not think it will go back to 20,000 in the next 6 months just because of everything that we're seeing on chain.
Okay. Speaking, well, real quick, we'll go around the circle. Wendy, 52 or 42, you think?
52. I don't, unless the bullish cycle breaks, we're not going to see, I don't think, below 40. I don't even think we're going to see below, I'm looking at the chart right now, I don't even think we're going to see below 45 unless the bullish cycle breaks, which that would mean a break of 45.5.
Okay, music to our ears. Ben, 52 or 42?
Are you seriously going to ask me that question?
I mean, it might break down to 42 for a second.
No, not a chance.
52. No.
0% chance.
All right. I'm not putting it at 0 personally. I do agree. I think 52.
Mark it down.
52. I think 52 is going to hit before 42, but we'll see.
I just want to know from Gareth. I want to know from Gareth, like, where is my number where I get my credit? Like, where's the number when you say, all right, I guess it's not going down to 18 or 20,000. What's the number? 65, 70, 89, 112. Like, where's my number? I want to ask everybody this who still believes it's going down before it goes to 100,000. Where's my number I get my credit?
So this is the key, right? So it's all charting for me. It's like there's no real area for emotion and all that nonsense. So basically, the chart dictates that if you take out 65,000, and if you're looking back at 2017 and 2013, that never happened. That would be the break point. So if that happens, then it has no relation to those previous cycles. It's a new thing, and it's off to the races.
All right, okay. I like it. I'm hearing.
I have to interrupt.
Being raised. Go ahead.
I have to interrupt. So we have 9,400 people in the chat watching this. Smash the like if you think that Bitcoin is going to hit 52,000 before 42,000.
Right. Yeah. 1.6 thousand. We're almost at 10,000. Let's push us above 10,000. And we love our chat. In chat, we had a Gareth versus Show My Chart. I had to share that one. So good one. Cryptotronic Tone. Hey, maybe they make some beats too. All right. Altcoin Daily. We're talking about these on-chain fundamentals. Are the on-chain fundamentals going to be strong enough to defeat the September lull that we so often see?
I think it's possible. I think you kind of like indicated it in the very beginning when you set up the question that a lot of times the reason we've seen that lull in September is because Bitcoin went on like big summer runs and then just had to cool off before the big end of the year run. Now we went on a huge Bitcoin run a little bit earlier in the year, and we crashed a little bit earlier than normally happens. So whether it happens in September or the next month, I certainly think, I've said it even when Bitcoin was at 30,000, the on-chain looks great still. And, I think, in bull markets, it surprises people, but the price generally breaks to the upside.
It kind of just comes out of nowhere and just keeps going up and to the right, as they say. Ben, we're seeing this fourth quarter pump very, very often. It always pumps in the fourth. It's almost like it's Larry Bird or something. Is this year going to be any different, you think? Or is it going to crash down, around Halloween?
Fourth quarter is not going to be good. Fourth quarter is going to be awful for Bitcoin. There's no question about it in my mind. Third quarter, we're going to end up great. And then we're going to, if you were to look at a chart of the quarterly candles, we'll have a giant wick on quarter four and it'll end up in the red. So, I got to say that, when it comes to thinking about what's going here forward, there's no reason in my mind to change anything I believed, which is by the end of this month, we will be approaching the end of the bull run for Bitcoin. Altcoins have a chance, I now believe, maybe to run through the end of the year. But, Bitcoin is going to be done by that time. Now, Frank, can you pull up that chart again, the monthly chart? I want to point something out to you guys. Okay, so looking at the monthly chart here, now this is something that we used on the live stream earlier this year, where we looked at these months. We said, man, this is generally a positive month. This is generally a good month, generally a bad month. Look at January. January, traditionally, up until this year, if you exclude 2021, okay, 3 out of 8 months were positive. Then if you move, and what happened? You keep it up. I want to keep pointing this out. Look at January 2021 this year. Crushed it, okay? Look at March. Generally a bad month. 6 out of 8 months in the history of Bitcoin of March, negative. Crushed it in March. Hey, April and May, generally great months for Bitcoin. We got crushed in May, and in April it wasn't great. June, same thing, mostly green. So you pull it off now. Now, this is what to think about. Bitcoin is not on a perfect 4-year cycle. You guys know how when you have a birthday and then that day's approaching again, you're like, what day is it on? You're like, oh yeah, last year my birthday was on a Friday. You can't remember if that means that it's going to be on a Saturday or a Thursday this time, but it's a little bit different. With the Bitcoin halving cycles, they're much closer to 3 years and 10 months than actually 4 years. So over time, we are going to see the averages of these green versus red months for Bitcoin really become much more stable, to where over a period of 25 years, or let's just say 30 years, it'll probably be about 15 of both, if that makes sense, because we're not going through the cycle at the same exact time every single year.
God, I wish we could just keep talking about this topic for another half hour, but I got to wrap it up, and we're going to do a final question asking everybody. We're going to start with Altcoin Daily. September, green or red?
I gotta go green, baby. Gotta go
green. We love it. Gareth, you're a little more red in the face, but that's just that Florida sun. September, though, are we gonna go green or red?
I gotta go red then. You know where I gotta go then.
Oh man, you're freaking me out now. Now I'm scared. All right, Ben, you got to bring me back from the depths. September, green or red?
All you got to do is look around the frame of my screen.
All right, I'm on a roller coaster of emotions right now, and Wendy, it's ending with you. So what's it going to be? I don't know. September, green or red?
I'm going to say green, because I'm looking at the chart, and just as long as this bullish momentum continues on the trend line, which is backed by math, I think we are going to see green.
All right, and as Patrick Bateman would say, relief washes over me in an awesome wave. And I want to shout out Crypto Ric Flair with the super chat. So let's give him a woo in chat. So Crypto Ric Flair, we love him around here. So it was a great episode. And it looks like Gareth, you maybe done it, man. The TA, everyone loved the TA. They're going Gareth versus charts. They're loving it, man. So we're going to go ahead and give you about 30 seconds. Give us some parting thoughts here.
Parting thoughts is I think I've come here and I've learned a lot from you guys, and I think that's awesome. You guys bring a lot of knowledge that I don't even have, so I appreciate that, and I think everyone out there watching does. So thank all of you guys, including the host here. You guys really do a great job. Follow me on Twitter at Gareth Soloway, and let's see where this Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto world goes. Have a great one, guys. Thank you.
All right. All the links will be in the description underneath the video. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like. That is all we got time for today, BitSquad. Easy out.